won't believe this. APC Chieftain has exposed Tinubu on a Rise News interview. In fact, there are some interviews you will watch, you will understand that everybody is very much aware of what is going on in this country, regardless of the party. But it's only few people that will speak and stand on the truth. Don't forget that people are accusing Tinubu that he lied in some of the things he said on October 1st. But nevertheless, this guy from APC was asked on a Rise News to share his take about the whole accusation, and he went forward to confirm the words of Rufai Oseni that some of the things the president said that they have done, that nobody is feeling it at all. In fact, he went forward to say that President Tinubu need to reshuffle his cabinet because most of them are not active, and when things are going the way it is going in this country, there is no other person to hold apart from the government in power, which is APC, which him is a member of. In fact, listen to the video yourself and share your thoughts. Don't forget to also share the video and subscribe to my channel if you are enjoying my kind of content. For more updates, let's go there.
I think we should start by trying to get your own assessment of the president's address yesterday. Some people have expressed the view that saying, well, 2.5 million jobs will be created is not enough, or organizing a national youth conference against the background of the Fearless in October protests yesterday, you know, across some states of the country also will not seem to be enough. And other talk about economic stabilization bills will seem not to be the way to go. But the more embarrassing part is that some people out there, lawyers, economists, have been saying that in that speech, that the president of Nigeria lied about ways and means, foreign direct investment, and some of the other details in terms of what this government has done about monetary policy and fiscal policy. I said earlier on this program that if that were to be confirmed to be true, S must rule. But what do you think in terms of the details of that speech?
First of all, good morning, Nigerians. Happy Independence Day. They're good. We're in a difficult position right now in terms of the economy. Nigerians are not having a very good time. They're not having an easy go of it. So it's very important that we're honest with ourselves as a political party, as the party in governance, in office, in order for us to make real progress. And some of the, I don't know the fact whether some of those details are true or false, especially in terms of the ways and means. I think that those who are responsible for the statistics can look into it and we can have clarifications on that. But in reality, the truth about it is that Nigerians are not feeling the renewed hope. The truth of it, 2 protests in the space of 3 months shows us that we're not actually performing as we promised Nigerians that we would. The renewed hope agenda itself that Mr. President wants to implement, you know, is a laudable agenda. But the reality is, from my perspective and from the perspective of a lot of young Nigerians, we don't believe that the people that the president has assembled to carry out these agendas, these initiatives, have the capacity to deliver on what the president wants. And that's just the fact. That is why we're seeing that a lot of issues are occurring. The economy is not doing so great. Price of food is skyrocketing. And we need to take a look back. We need to be honest and realistic with ourselves if we want to make real progress. As a nation, Nigeria right now, we are not standing where we should amongst the Committee of Nations. And this is simply because some of these policies, some of the policies are essential and are needed. For example, removal of the fuel subsidy, it's essential. Stabilization, same currency, it's very important, you know. Going forward, we must implement that. But other policies that the president has put in place and the people, especially the people in charge of trying to implement this, I don't think they understand what they are supposed to be doing and are not getting a grasp of things. If you look at their ministries, for example, realistically, statistically, without emotions, how many jobs have been created? How many jobs did you meet when you assumed office over a year ago? How many have you created? How much income have you generated? How much revenue? How many people have you given jobs? It's one thing to read out speeches. It's another thing completely to deliver on the promises. Nigerians are expectant. Nigerians believe that they should be further ahead of where they are right now. And we have to be honest and realistic with ourselves. If things are not going right, the president must make a change as soon as possible so that the people who have the competence to do the job can get in and do the job and deliver on the renewed hope agenda. There was a lot of promise. A lot of us believed in the president, believed in this government before coming in. and what we're seeing compared to what we believe, if we're being honest with ourselves, except maybe we don't want to be honest and we just want to keep saying things will get better, things will get better. But for things to get better, you have to have implementation plans. You have to have an idea. A typical example is the flooding, you know, where... Aya, were you saying something? I couldn't hear.
You were saying something about flooding, then I'll come in to ask my question. I just want you to finish that point on flooding.
Okay. Yeah, for example, the issue of flooding, it's a shame that there's no plan in place so that flooding can be prevented forever. You know, you're looking at, for example, existential issues like the drying up of the Lake Chad Basin, and you have Maiduguri that is less than 200 kilometers away from Lake Chad. Why can't you build a channel? By building a channel from Maiduguri to Lake Chad, you've solved several problems. You've created new businesses. There can never be flooding again. It's a base model for starting projects. You can do the same from the Benue to Lake Chad. You can do the same all over the country. So you need creative leaders who can deliver on this renewed hope agenda. What we are seeing is something completely different from what we expected. And the president must make a change because a lot of people are expecting a lot and believe in him. Right. So therefore, if he's not able to deliver, it won't be the people around him.
Okay, so I want you to now break down this change you're asking for. You said a lot of things, but hit the nail on the head. What kind of change are you expecting? You are yourself a member of the APC. I'm sure maybe at fora or events. So what kind of specific changes? The reason I'm asking is because in his speech yesterday, he talked about creation of 2.5 million jobs. You are relatively a youth or just about exiting the youth category, but he's talked about the plans for a national youth conference as well. You've exited, all right. A national youth conference as well. Are those the kind of changes or efforts or moves that would at least restore, because it looks like hope is lost now from what you've said. I think people have moved from being expectant to hope being lost. But were those things enough to restore hope? And if they weren't, what specific changes are you looking from this administration and the president in particular?
Let's hit the nail on the head and let's be direct. First of all, we expect a cabinet reshuffle at the very least. A lot of non-performing members of the cabinet, more than 50% of the cabinet are non-performing. No one knows who they are, and it's quite unfortunate. We expected so much more, so we expect that from Mr. President. As for the youth conference, honestly, I believe it's a very laudable idea. Majority of the people that have protested in the last 3 months, whether it's opposition or not, is irrelevant. They are Nigerians, and majority of them are young people. There should be a forum to engage these young people, to be able to have an idea of the challenges they face and the creative ways of generating solutions that are all-inclusive. The idea in itself is extremely laudable. Engaging people is extremely laudable, but, to be honest, I have also been part of previous sort of conferences like this, and they don't exactly meet their target. That's if we're being realistic. And secondly, and even more importantly, a number of us young people felt, now I consider myself part of the young group rather than the youth. I'm not part of the youth anymore. But a number of us young people over a year ago felt that Mr. President wasn't given an opportunity to run. We challenged the status quo. We wanted a convention in the APC. And through the efforts of the young people, we brought about a convention which brought about Mr. President. And in that process, a number of us, specifically myself as a young person, I sat with Mr. President and we had an agreement. And to this day, the agreement is yet unfulfilled. So for me, it's difficult to come out to convince young people, to tell them that if Mr. President has an agreement or the system has an agreement with you, there would be those deliverables. So it's very difficult. So we must see not only promises, but deliverables, deliverability on your promises. You must be able to say A and deliver on A. If you don't deliver on the timeline, there must be steps to deliver on that timeline. Young people need to be encouraged. We don't need to, just like you're saying, a lot of people are feeling hopeless. And it's not wrong of you to say that. It's not wrong of any Nigerian to feel that way. But what are we doing to make these differences? Because if you look at the reality of it, there's only maybe 15 months left, thereabouts, of governance. After that is electioneering. So if you don't achieve any critical steps within the next 3-4 months that would guide the next 12 months, then we're going to be here a year and a half asking Nigerians, telling Nigerians it's not our fault, it's the fault of the past. But in reality, it's still our government. And if we're not honest with ourselves, if we're not willing to say the truth and listen to it, then there's a big problem, because we're in office now. All we need to do to succeed, the easiest thing to do to succeed is just do the job. Do the job that Nigerians gave us to do. Do the job that we told Nigerians we were capable of doing. And if the people that because the vision is great. I believe in the vision. A lot of us believe in the vision. But the implementation of the vision is where the challenges are. And we expect more to be done. That's fact. As people in the party, we expect more. As Nigerians, we expect a whole lot more.
Okay, I mean, from the way you're sounding, it looks like the government is not meeting expectations for you. And the truth is, when the government is not meeting expectation, you see the kind of things like what Dr. Abati pointed in the speech. There were a lot of untruths in that speech. The president talked about 30 billion investment. No, it was 30 billion commitment in FDI. That's what Doris Aniti had said. And the one that is most egregious is the untruths of the fact that they've cleared ways and means. You know, that money is still a debt on our books. It's been securitized for the next, I think, close to 30 over many years down the line. And our future generation will have to pay for it. And the president coming out to say it's been cleared. Anyway, this National Youth Summit, would you like to be a delegate? And if they call you and say, Mustafa, be a delegate, what would you be saying? And I also want to ask you, would you do it for free? Or you will collect the delegate allowance for those 30 days?
Thank you, Rufai. It's always interesting having an exchange with you. I'll start with the delegate one, then go back to this speech. Like I said, I don't really consider myself youth. I consider myself a young person. So maybe an advisor or someone who has perspective from experience. I'd like to be something like that, you know. But to say a delegate to come and speak, not so much interested. I've participated in so many, I've led so many across country. I've done quite a number, and we must learn to cultivate the character of letting those that come after us have the opportunity to express themselves, to engage themselves. I cannot continue to occupy that space so that other people would not have the chance to. I would let younger people who have more zeal, more energy, who can, added to what we have, can be much better for the country. I'll let those ones delegate money. It's no, that's funny. Not interested. That's for the others. So. But in terms of success and the ability, I think the idea, like I said, the idea in itself makes a lot of sense. But the worry is its implementation. The people who would be heading its implementation. You know, what we've seen, you know, has not truly been encouraging, to be honest. You know, what we've seen is it's not by skill, competence, merit, your ability to deliver that, you know, you're occupying certain positions, which is very unfortunate and very realistic. We've also seen that a number of these are from a certain sect of the country, which doesn't also make sense. It doesn't add up. A number of decisions don't actually quite add up, except maybe we're just looking for one-term governance. You know, if we want this to continue, we must make rapid changes, and this youth conference is an opportunity for that.
Am I getting something wrong? Is it that the SAPA has hit you? Because you were so in support of this government the last time you were here. You had even complained like this, my brother Mustafa. What's happening? Is it that the SAPA has hit you so much?
Don't get me wrong.
They didn't buy your electric cars.
No, don't get me wrong.
They didn't buy your electric tricycle. They are not giving you electric tricycle contract. Is that why you're talking like this? Mustafa, my brother.
No, of course not, Ruben. No, let me clarify, Ruben. I like those questions. It's very interesting, but it's important. More than anything else, I'm a patriot. I love my country. Even when the previous president, at some point, things were not going right, we were the ones who led the forefront. I'm coming out at this point because, first of all, the government needed time to settle. 16 months is more than enough time to show where we're projecting ourselves to go. That's number one. Number two, this is a critical juncture. If we don't make these changes within the next 3 months, we cannot be asking the people in 15 months, what are we going to showcase for it? Who is going to vote for us? So my own is, let us succeed. Let us succeed as a party. Let us succeed as a people. I spent the last 2 months going around. I went to so many places, China, Europe, and Bahrain. When I was in university in Glasgow, The Arabians used to talk about Bahrain like it was something else, but today Bahrain is, wow, it's unbelievable. So if you look at what is going on around the world, I want the best for my country. I don't care who is in office. I don't care what is happening. I care how my country is functioning and how well it's doing.
Prince Audu.
Yes, yes, Ruben.
Okay, let's go beyond the Tinubu administration. This is supposed to be about 64 years of Nigeria's independence. And earlier on this program, I quoted a Punch newspaper. The editorial in Punch newspaper yesterday, October 1, had some interesting things to say about Nigeria. I'll just quote some specific lines from that editorial. It says, at 64, Nigeria is a total mess. It is a deformed adult child at 64, standing on false structural legs. Nigeria has lost its way. The editorial stated. Do you agree that Nigeria has lost its way? And if you agree, why?
I think we are still a sleeping giant. I think we have tremendous potential. Nigerians all over the world are flourishing. We are number one in almost every field that we choose to. In terms of resources, in terms of the things that we have, human capital, natural resources, we're top. But where the problem comes in, it's our ability to identify those with leadership qualities to deliver. Leadership is technical. People don't understand. Leadership is a science as specific as being a pilot or being a brain surgeon. But anybody wants to sit behind the wheel and fly the plane, you're going to crash it. This is what keeps happening. Nigeria has made progress in certain areas, but in other areas, we have people who don't have an idea of what to do. And this has been something that has been in our system for over the years. So what is the way of grooming leaders today? How do you become a leader in Nigeria? What kind of skill, what kind of technical ability, how are you recruited, how are you groomed, how are you raised as a young person, what kind of inspiration do you have? Without having that way of grooming young people, the right set of young people to take over the reins of affairs and guiding them through, we'll keep going to be repeating the same problems we're having, which is the exact same problem that I'm speaking about. It's not about having just people occupying positions. You need people with vision, people with understanding, people who know what to do and how to go about doing it. Those are the critical things. And until Nigeria is able to do that, we would not be in a place. What are the plans that we're putting in place for leadership and how to groom them and how to grow them? Okay. Look at any serious country in the world. There are leadership schools, things like that.
Prince.
So that's what I think needs to happen, Ruben.
Okay, Prince, Rufai was suggesting to you that if you were invited to be part of the youth conference, whether you will agree or not, youth conference would be too small for you. But if you were to be invited to come and be a minister at this time that they are trying to rejig the cabinet, will it be a good idea for you to go and support President Tinubu to tweak things a little bit? Yes or no?
Yes, I will offer my services to the nation if I'm called to serve. Of course I will. I'm an industry leader in my field. I have the capacity to deliver, and I will deliver on what the task at hand is. That is what the president needs. The president needs Nigerians with the ability and the capacity to deliver. The president needs people who understand the vision, who worked hard with him, who know what Nigerians need, who understand the pains of Nigerians, and put Nigeria first, not their personal interests first. That is the issue, and if I am called to serve, I will serve with honor and distinction. And a lot of these problems will be a thing of the past. We'll be looking at the future rather than talking about things in the past. That is what I have to offer.
So you want to have two Audus as ministers? I said your brother is already minister, so you want to have two Audus as ministers? All right. Well, let me just say that I don't know if Nigerians are ready for that. Two brothers from the same family as ministers in one administration. But let me ask you, since we're talking about governance, leadership, you talked about young people, bright mind. What's your take on what's happening in your state? And these fresh charges instituted against him by the EFCC, 110 billion naira. And this conversation around the present governor shielding him from presenting himself to the EFCC, he's actually wanted at the moment. What's your take on that? In respect of what you said about leadership, how leadership must, we must have better leadership in Nigeria, has that demonstrated good leadership?
To be honest, Ayo, you put me in a very tricky position. To be honest, the former governor and I, we've not seen eye to eye maybe on so many issues. So putting me in the spot to comment about him would seem as if, I'm being maybe antagonistic or whatever it is. To be honest, I've listened to what he's had to say. I've listened to what EFCC has had to say from news articles, media reportings, just as you have. And the truth is, we must all be one way or another law-abiding. If we believe in the system, we must submit ourselves to the system. I understand the fears that, he has about, an attempt to try to embarrass him or whatever it is. But if he truly feels that he is innocent, I honestly believe that, he should, go ahead and meet them. Nothing will happen. That's the funniest thing. Life continues. He's not the first to go to EFCC. He'll not be the last. Go and acquit yourself, avail yourselves to them, and, go to the court. EFCC is not actually the juror, they're not the executioner, they're nothing. They're just supposed to do their reporting and submit to the court. The court will then determine if you are innocent or guilty using the facts presented to it. So I think it's quite basic, and I think that it's much ado about nothing, and if we keep at this, it's just, it's not good. We shouldn't be having this kind of conversation today's day and age. That's the truth. That's my perspective.
Confirm. Now, this is coming from APC member. Did he speak your mind? I've watched one other video from Channels Television before, where Shem was asking one man if he think that Tinubu changing his cabinet will make him get it right. But the man said no, that he think that the whole problem is coming from Tinubu's ideology. Now, share your thought with me on the comment section. Do you think that is ideology problem or is cabinet problem? Just let me know what you think. And you know the vibe now. Click on that subscribe button, follow, and share for more updates. Because like this, we move.